That our mic is working this time. If you guys can hear us, let us know in the comments.
Fingers crossed the mic works, and I think we figured it out this time. I think it does not say we are muted, so we should be okay. Hope everybody's having a good night. Before we kind of go any further, if you are in the stream right now and you're watching, I see there's a few people in here. A few people already gave thumbs up, which is awesome. If you could just drop a comment, and whether it's just a thumbs up, if you don't want to participate in chat for the rest of the night, just make sure that you can hear us. So if you can give us like a little thumbs up or something that you can hear us, we can jump into it. And if you can hear us, I'm going to be pretty proud of myself. All right. Our friends Brendan and Catherine, Detour to Neverland, and Stephanie say that the microphone works. So
awesome. We didn't mess up this time.
it only took like 3 or 4 live streams of doing this before we could figure out how to use the microphone. But all right, we're all good. So the point of this stream today is to kind of have a conversation about the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. Now, if you already seen a couple of the vlogs that we put out, or if you follow us over on Instagram, we happen to be at Walt Disney World on October 1st, which was also Alex's birthday. Yay. So if you didn't already wish Alex a happy birthday, you can do it now. But we happened to be there on the 50th anniversary. It was a huge goal for us to make sure we were there on that day. Mm-hmm. Not only because it was the actual 50th anniversary, but we figured what better way to spend your birthday than by celebrating at Walt Disney World.
Our favorite place.
The best place in the world. And on top of that, we were with other friends of ours, our friends Kelly and Trace, and Kelly's birthday was on October 2nd.
Yeah, so it was a big birthday weekend.
Yeah, a birthday blowout weekend. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of why we went down. And we were very, very excited to go down. And we had this booked for, my gosh, it's at least a year.
Yeah.
Right?
We booked it a while ago.
Yeah.
We knew that we wanted to be there on that day. It was really important for us. We wanted to be a part of the history and just to see like what Disney had in store for us for the 50th.
Yeah. So this journey started a long, long time ago. It started well over a year ago. We booked our resort, which was like one of the only resorts available at the time that we booked it. Yeah. And that was Caribbean Beach. Mm-hmm. And we figured, does not matter where we stay on this trip. Yeah. We're not here for the resort. We're here to just be in the parks and soak in all the magic and soak in everything that was going to be the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we booked Caribbean Beach. And like I said, we went down with friends of ours and we had just an amazing, amazing time. Yeah. And today we are going to kind of take you through what that actual day was like. So pretty much start to finish, what was that day? Because it was a very, very fun day, but it was also like, there was also some hiccups along the way.
Yeah, and it was a very long day.
Yes.
We were in the park for hours, but we'll get into all of that.
Yeah. And hello to our friend KJ and Winnie that is watching at home as well. Always love having Winnie watch along. She's one of our cutest fans, I'll say that. But we're going to start kind of like I said, in the very beginning of that day. And of course, we're going to touch on other things that we experienced during the 50th weekend, like what the offerings were like at Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Mm-hmm. What did we think of Harmonious? We saw that night. That vlog came out today. So if you didn't get a chance to see Harmonious yet, either through our video or through one of the million other live streams that took place, definitely check it out. It's worth seeing, and we'll kind of get a little bit more into that in like the second half of the stream. But the first half of the stream is going to be all about the Magic Kingdom. Yep. So like Alex said, long day.
It was a very long day. What time did we get up that day?
We got up around 5:30, 5:45, just to get up and take showers and get ready for the day. Our goal was to be at the bus stop for the 6:30 or 6:40 bus, which was the very first bus of the day. Now, we got very lucky. If you've stayed at moderate resorts or value resorts in the past that are very big in size, like Caribbean Beaches, you know that you can, wait many times for a bus to come around.
Because they have multiple bus stops around the resort. Where we were staying, we luckily were near the first bus stop.
Right.
So we walked to the first bus stop, we waited for the bus, and we were the first ones to get picked up. We got really lucky because we had talked to people that were staying in one of the other buildings along the route that was towards the end. They said they waited, like an hour or more
Yes. Yeah.
for a bus because they kept picking up our bus station, the first one, and by the time they would get around to the other bus stations, the buses were full. So they just kept missing they kept leaving the other people there.
Yeah.
So we got really lucky. It was a good thing we were near the first bus stop. But they also opened the Skyliners early. Obviously, you can't get to Magic Kingdom with the Skyliner.
But if you were going to Epcot or Studios for that day.
But the other option that we did have was we rented a car. And we were kind of like going back and forth. Should we drive to the park or should we just take the Disney transportation? And we ultimately decided on the bus transportation because we weren't sure how packed the parking lot and like the line to get into the TTC was going to be.
Right.
So we opted for that. I thought it was a good choice.
Yeah. And the reason why we didn't drive, and we rented a car. We never rent cars when we go to Disney World, but we rented a car because we wanted to go check on the house and see, what the construction was looking like on the house. But we decided not to drive. And the sole reason we decided not to drive is because Alex has a friend who still works at Magic Kingdom in the ticket booths.
The ticket booths, yeah.
And she mentioned to her in talking that they were thinking about opening the ticket booths at like 4:30 that morning. So I was like, listen, if they're gonna open these booths up at 4:30, who knows what the line to get into the TTC parking is gonna be like. Yeah. Let's just take the bus. We can pass all the traffic or whatever, and we don't have to worry about it. And also, we don't have to walk back to our car at the end of the day, that whole thing as well. So we decided to take the bus. We were very lucky. We got on the first bus that came, and it was pretty smooth sailing from there as far as like getting to the Magic Kingdom. We didn't really sit in any traffic other than maybe a minute or two. And then after that, we got into the Esplanade, the area where you scan in, and that was very smooth as well. We pretty much walked right in.
Yeah, we hardly waited to scan our tickets. We got in right away, and the first thing, I don't know, is this where you were going? The first thing that we saw after we scanned in was people handing out the special park maps. Is that where you were going, or was something before that?
No. I mean, that was the next thing. I was just going to say a lot of people got there so early that they let the people in earlier than we thought they were going to.
Yeah.
So if you are staying on property, as of now, it's a very new and recent thing. If you're staying at a Disney resort, you can get in a half hour before the park opens. So it's kind of like early morning magic hours, even though it's not. But essentially, we were like, let's get in for 7:30 because that's going to be the earliest anyone's going to get in. Well, they let everybody else in way before 7:30, before the sun even came up. So we were one of, I would say, some of the last ones into Magic Kingdom from that morning rush, that initial rush.
Yeah.
And we walked into Magic Kingdom, I would say it was about 7:10, 7:15. So that was...
Was it?
Yeah, it was after 7 o'clock for sure.
Remember.
And like Alex said, they were giving out those awesome maps, so we got to get those.
They were handing out the commemorative day of maps where it said like October 1st, and we knew we wanted to grab those, so we each grabbed one. And at that time, they were limiting it to just one per person.
Yeah.
They did have a ton of them, and like throughout the night, they were just giving them out. But when we first walked in, they were limiting it to one per person, so we each grabbed one. And then we took some pictures, and then we got into the park. Now, everybody was lining up.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing that I saw, that there was like giant lines.
And this is right when you come out of the train station.
Yeah.
So there was just lines of people right there, and we were like, oh boy,
what are these lines for? And then finally I asked somebody, and it was the Emporium line. And then there was also...
there was the Starbucks line, which was crazy. There was the Emporium line, which was really what all the crowd was for.
Yeah, and then after we walked past that line, there was a guy standing there with a QR code, and that was to get into the virtual queue for Big Top Souvenirs, which is where the day of merchandise was. And that was only going to be sold that day, which we'll kind of get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that after.
It was sold not just that day.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But everyone was waiting to go into the Emporium,
yeah,
thinking probably that that's where all the good merchandise was going to be. And there was definitely more merchandise at the Emporium, but it was all the stuff that was there yesterday or the day before. And
that's going to be there.
That's going to be there
for
the
next
next
18 months.
18 months. So the line to get into the Emporium was crazy. We like Alex said, we found the person with the QR code to get into Big Top. We couldn't get in at the time.
We kept trying
kept
and
crashing.
trying, and it wouldn't let us join the virtual queue, so we were kind of bummed. But.
Yeah, so we couldn't get into Big Top at that moment in time to join the queue. But we were like, we're definitely not going to go into the Emporium. We were there 2 days before for the last night of Happily Ever After, and we stocked up on a bunch of stuff then. And like we said, they're just going to keep restocking a lot of this merchandise. This is an 18-month long celebration. So we were like, all right, it's Big Top Souvenirs for the day of stuff like this shirt that I'm wearing. The shirt, this is the pass holder shirt. Yeah. And this was only at Big Top Souvenirs at the time.
Another long line was for the Volt collection, which was at
Main Street Cinema.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we went in there for the last night of Happily Ever After as well, and we kind of stocked up on what we wanted that night, so we avoided that line as well.
Right.
So after that, we walked down Main Street, and we kind of saw everybody congregating near the castle. Yeah, because we knew that there was going to be a welcome show.
Right. So everybody was waiting over by the hub, by the partner statue, trying to get as close to the castle as they can, waiting for something to happen. Mm-hmm. And we all thought that something was going to happen. It's the 50th anniversary. Mm-hmm. We're all here in the morning. They have to do something with everybody just standing here. So we made our way up there, and we had a really good spot for it. And then the welcome show started. Now, this was very similar to the old welcome show. And when I say welcome show, I'm talking about like when Mickey and Minnie and the gang come out to kick off the day and open Magic Kingdom. Mm-hmm. And that's all it was as far as the park opening. And that kind of came up. They came on, they did their thing. It was super cute.
They were in their new outfits.
So we got to see that. Mm-hmm. The song, the brand new song, which was actually written by a cast member, I believe, a former cast member, is great. It's so catchy.
Yeah, and we were singing it the whole time.
Yeah, it gets stuck in your head. And then it just kind of ended. And we were all kind of standing there, and we all said to each other, we were like,
is that it?
I don't know if that's it, but I'm not leaving. So
I know, everybody kind of just like stood there when it was over, and we were like, okay, like, is anything else gonna happen? Like, we were really like hoping and wishing that like people would come out and talk, or there would be some type of speech. Like, it's the 50th anniversary. Like, that's a huge deal. We thought maybe like some of the old like original cast members would come out, just anything like special. But it was just the welcome show.
It was just the welcome show. And it was, we went back and we watched the previous anniversaries, and we're like, all right, well, what did they do for the 25th? What did they do for, the 10th and whatnot? So, and on the 25th, now, obviously, unfortunately, this wouldn't be able to take place because Roy Disney's son is no longer with us. He's passed away. But for the 25th anniversary, they had Roy Disney Jr. come and read live his father's opening day dedication speech, which was so cool. Just an awesome thing. And so we were kind of hoping for something along those lines. We knew it couldn't be a Disney relative because there's only one left, and she is absolutely not showing up to anything Disney related. If you know her feelings on the company.
Backstory of that.
Yeah, so we kind of were hoping for something along those lines. Whether they sent Chapek out, whether they sent Josh Tomorrow out, Bob Iger, like somebody. And they did this the night before because they streamed the new show Enchantment from the Magic Kingdom for media and guests and invited guests the night before. So Chapek and Iger came out, they rededicated Magic Kingdom again, they said a little thing. Wasn't all that much, but they did that not with the fans there. And
not with the guests.
That's kind of like what we wanted to see that morning. I don't think it would have even taken much for me to be satisfied with that. Like, if they would have sent Josh Tomorrow out, or even Jeff Vale or Jeff Valle, however you pronounce his name, the president of Magic Kingdom, like if they sent him out and was like, welcome to Magic Kingdom. Thanks so much for the last 50 years. Here's to the next 50.
Yeah.
I think people would have liked that a little bit better.
Especially because that was like the actual anniversary day, the 50th. And I feel like if you were a Disney fan, like you were there that day and you can feel the excitement in the air.
Yeah.
Everybody was like so happy to be there, so excited to be there. And it just would have been nice if somebody came out and just said, like, thank you for all the years.
Right.
You know, like Matt said, here's to another 50. Just something.
Just something to
like,
acknowledge the fans and guests.
Right.
There was no acknowledgement of the fans or the guests. There was no mention of Walter Roy. There was none of that. So we were like, all right, listen, I know we're in difficult times now. Disney has lost a lot of money. I'm sure COVID might have messed up whatever their original intentions were for the 50th as a whole, but it doesn't cost any money to send
somebody out.
Josh D'Amaro out there with a microphone just to say a quick 1 to 2 minute welcome.
Now we can't bash them too hard because they didn't like advertise that anything like that would happen.
Right.
Like they did stick to what they said they were gonna do. But we were just, like, fingers crossed, like, hoping that they would maybe do something a little bit special, but unfortunately they didn't.
No. So that was that, and, a lot of people, like the people that we were with, and we met up with a whole bunch of people throughout the day as well, that was kind of like the topic of conversation for at least the morning. We were all like, wow, I mean, I can't believe they didn't do anything. I can't believe nobody didn't come out and welcome anyone. They didn't play Roy's dedication speech over the PA. Like, all those things don't cost any money. So like the excuse of COVID, it doesn't matter because it doesn't cost you anything to play a speech over a PA. It doesn't cost you anything to have somebody in executive leadership come out and welcome everyone. Those things are free, and they were all there. So it's not like they weren't there. We saw
people were they were walking around the park like talking to guests that day. So they were there.
They were all there. Chapek was there. D'Amaro was there. Iger was there. Like the whole bunch. So they were definitely there, which kind of made it a little bit weird. So that was the morning, and then after that, we met up with some friends of ours and rode the Haunted Mansion. That was the first thing we did.
We really wanted to ride as many opening day attractions that day that we could. So we hit up the Haunted Mansion. That was great. And I will say throughout the day, the park was crowded, but the lines for attractions weren't.
Very short.
We pretty much walked on to everything that we wanted to that day. But yeah, so I think the main rush was for the popcorn buckets.
Oh yeah.
And the merchandise.
Yeah.
Like that's where the major crowds and lines were. The attractions were kind of, I guess, secondary thoughts, for most people. So that's why the lines were shorter for the rides that day.
Yeah, and those popcorn bucket lines were crazy. Like right in the morning, people waiting well over an hour for buckets. Of course, the scalpers were out in full force with their bags of everything.
But you have to remember, the popcorn buckets and the mini sippers, those are going to be there for 18 months. And now, of course, some of the people that were there may not live near there, and that was the time that they were going to be there, so they really wanted them.
Right.
But those will be there for 18 months. They will restock them, so that's kind of why we were like, why is there such huge lines? But they're popular, I don't blame the people that, I guess, wanted them that day. But like Matt said, we did see some of the scalpers out. I think they were limiting the popcorn buckets to 2 per person, but the mini sippers that we saw, no
limit on those.
I don't think there was a limit because we saw a lady with 2 bags with 5 sippers each in the bag. We were like, wow. So, but yeah, I mean, those were where the longest lines were. So
yeah. And Stephanie says, "Good morning, America." Had a bunch of them on air from the Magic Kingdom, so I was also surprised they did the dedication. I can't speak at night and not again in the morning. Yeah, I'm with you. We were walking towards Liberty Square and we saw Ginger Z doing her thing in the morning.
We saw a bunch of the Good Morning America people. When we first walked into the park, we forgot to mention there was a bunch of camera crews on top of the train station.
Right.
There was
tons of media there.
Tons of media in the grassy area near the hub. So there was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. There you go. The popcorn buckets were back in stock today in Magic Kingdom.
Right.
We were at one point. We went to one of the popcorn stands by the hub, and we just wanted a water or a Powerade. And I asked the cast member, I was like, just making small talk. I was like, wow, these people are going crazy for these popcorn buckets. He goes, I don't know why. He goes, we have so many of them. Like, we're just going to restock these things every day or every other day. So, but you know how it goes. People see something they want and they have to go get it. So the first thing we did was, like Alex said, we wanted to do as many opening day attractions as we can. We mentioned that in the vlog, and we show a bunch of them. So we did Haunted Mansion first, and that's where we met up with our friends Brendan and Catherine, who were big time saviors of this day. They let us cut and jump the line for Haunted Mansion with them, which was a walk-on at the time, but we met up with them in their group. And then after Haunted Mansion, we went to Frontier Trading Post because they had a reservation to get some of the pins. That's where all the exclusive pins were going to be that day, was at Frontier Trading Post. We like pins, as you can see. So,
and that was another place where you needed to join a virtual queue. So it was the Frontier Trading Post for the pins and Big Top Souvenirs for the merchandise. Yeah,
everything that, like any special place that was selling merchandise, you had to join a virtual list via a QR code.
Yeah. So, thank you to Brendan and Catherine, because we couldn't get into either of the virtual queues, and they actually booked like more people than they needed, so they let us come with them.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So that was, we went there. Well, actually, did we go there before watching the parade? Yes.
Yes. So we went to Frontier Trading Post, like we said. We picked up the pin that said October 1st, and then they also came out with an awesome line of opening day attraction pins, limited edition, and they had each opening day attraction had a pin. I wish I had it right here. I would hold it up and show you.
Yeah.
But so we picked those up, and we were just hanging out, and then we looked at the time, and it was 9:45, 9:50, and we were like, the new cavalcade is going to be coming by. It was in the map and everything at 10:05. We were right in Frontierland, which is where they start. Might as well.
I think it was it 10:55?
No, it was earlier than that.
Oh, okay.
But either way, we were like, might as well wait here for the cavalcade. So we did, and it was cute. It was obviously not a full parade. Those are not back yet. I think a lot of people might have been holding out hope they might drop a surprise parade that day. But
I was gonna say that was another thing we kind of were like secretly hoping that they were gonna have like a new special parade, but they didn't. But the cavalcade was cute. It was basically just two floats already existing afloat.
Yeah, they just repurposed some of the floats they had.
Right, they just had them more like decorated for the 50th, and then the Fab Five along with Daisy and Chip and Dale.
Yep.
Were on the floats in their costumes, and then there was, I think, two different groups of dancers.
Yep.
They had like flags.
It was a cute cavalcade.
Dancing with. Yeah, it was cute.
And they played the song again, which was so catchy.
So I was gonna say the song was probably the best part. But yeah, that was cute too, and they did that a few times throughout the day.
Yeah. So we watched that, and then it was about 10:30, and we were talking about lunch. Food came up because a lot of us were up very early, and we were very hungry by this point. And we were like, I think it's a good idea if we place our mobile orders now. Like
lunch.
It's for lunch. It was like 10:30.
Yeah.
Like we could place the order and go pick it up in 2 hours or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So we all decided to do that and order our food. We decided to order from Cosmic Rays because Alex and I loved the spicy chicken sandwich, and it is no longer there.
We hyped it up to everybody, and then when we went to do our mobile order, it wasn't there. We were like, no! Like, I was so upset. But they did have a special, like, mac and cheese burger for the 50th there with, like, Cheeto, like, dusting on top of the bun.
It was a mess.
Yeah, some people got that. They also had like a barbecue chicken sandwich. So whatever. They didn't have the spicy chicken sandwich, unfortunately. But we all decided to place our mobile order at Cosmic Rays for about like 2 hours ahead of time.
So in that time frame, we did a bunch of things. We went and rode the Tomorrowland Speedway, and then we Carousel of Progress, met up with a few more people. And that was really the highlight of the day for me, was just being there with like just awesome people. Like we got to see so many people on this day, other creators, friends of ours, new people that we met.
Yeah.
It was a really great day to just be with everybody.
Yeah, and like I said before, like you could just feel like the excitement in the air, and like everybody that was there that day were huge Disney fans.
Yes.
Like they wanted to be there, they wanted to celebrate the 50th, and it was really cool to just spend that time with like people that were like us. Like, so excited and such big Disney fans.
Yeah, and like we said, we were with friends that we knew for years, friends that are more recent, people we just met literally that day, which felt like we knew them forever.
Yeah.
So it was an awesome day as far as just seeing everybody. So we did a couple of attractions in the meantime, and then it was time for our food to be picked up at Cosmic Rays, but it was also the time that our friends were called for Big Top. So we were like, all right, let's just go to Big Top Souvenirs, and then we'll come back to Cosmic Rays and get our food. And we saw like a lot of people waiting outside of Cosmic Rays. So we're like, well, maybe let this die down a little bit and come back. So we went to Big Top, and that's where we picked up whatever merchandise we got.
And I will say that was probably like the most organized and like, the smoothest like part of the day. Brendan and Catherine like checked us in with their virtual queue like on their phone. They let us in. It was set up nice. Like they had 2 different sides with the same exact merchandise on 2 different sides. So you could kind of just like pick which side you wanted to go on. Everything was separated by size, which was really nice. So you didn't have to like dig for your size. But they had things like mugs, water bottles,
spirit jerseys,
t-shirts, pins. The only 2 things that were sold out by the time we got there was the Christmas ornament and the magic bands.
Yeah, which we didn't care for anyway. We didn't want either one of those items. So we both got this shirt, which is the pass holder shirt. I'll stand up a little bit so you can see a little bit more of it. But it has 1971, 2021, and then it says pass holder in the middle. So we got that. We got the mug. What else did we get? Did we get... I think that might have been it, right?
Yeah.
Because we got a couple other pins, but we didn't get them there.
Yeah.
So I think that was it for Big Top. And after that, we went our, way back to Cosmic Rays. Mm-hmm. And there was like we said, there was a lot of people waiting outside.
We went from the smoothest part of the day
to the worst part of the day.
Most chaotic part of the day.
So we show up to Cosmic Rays, and there's a lot of people hanging outside. Now, if you haven't mobile ordered at Disney within the last year and a half since it's reopened, they're pretty strict on like letting you in. So like if you have to go in when your order's ready to go pick it up, or if you're obviously going to meet somebody, like they'll let you in. But they don't let people like really congregate by the cashiers anymore.
Right.
And mobile order is kind of like the way to go. And I think a lot of that is they're trying to limit the interaction with the cast members. I also think there's still not enough cast members to work at these restaurants. Mm-hmm. So we are waiting, and we see one of the people that we were with sees a friend of his, and that friend goes, we've been waiting here for like an hour for our sandwich.
After they clicked I am here. Because once you get there, you click I am here. Usually within like 10 minutes, you'll get another text and be like, okay, the food's ready, and then you could go inside and get your food.
Yeah.
So he had told him that they've been waiting an hour for their food.
So I knew we were in for it at this point.
Yeah.
Like this was going to be a rough go, because this person was here at least an hour. They're before us. They're still waiting for their food. Then we're going to have to wait for our food. So pretty much what we did was we hung out by Cosmic Rays a little bit. We got a table, and we sat there for a bit.
Before that, we were like, well, what are we going to do? Let's get a snack.
Well, right, yeah.
So
I was getting there.
So we looked to the left, and we're like, there's the Cheshire Cafe. Like, let's just get a pretzel and a cattail and, just to hold us over.
So we did that. Alex got the pretzel. I got the cattail. First time having one of those cattails, by the way. Very, very good if you've never had it.
And the pretzel was really good, too. It was like a jalapeno cheese stuffed pretzel.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
So we had that, and then a table opened up like in the shade outside of Cosmic Rays, and we grabbed it, and we sat there, and sat there some more. We ended up sitting at that table. It was probably going on 2 hours. And now at this point, one group of friends that we were with put their order in the same time as us. Another group had, I think their time slot was like slightly after us or slightly before us, but it was around the same time. and we're almost 2 hours in, nobody's gotten their food. So I was about to go in and kind of see what the deal is, and then I just so happened to get my notification that my food was ready.
Yeah.
So I go inside, and there was just a lot of food inside. Like, I was like
food piled up.
Yeah, and I kind of said to myself, what's going on here? Like, there's just so much food, and everybody's waiting for said food. Mm-hmm. Why isn't people going to get that food? So it turns out that there was an issue with the app where they couldn't push the notification out to people
that
properly
that
their food was ready. So our food was very likely ready 2 hours ago. But they had issues with the app and the system, and they couldn't notify us. So, it was what it was at that point.
And we will note that we were the only ones that got our food that day, besides our friends Kelly and Trace, who put their order in the same exact time as us, but they didn't get their food for another hour after we got our food.
It was a little over an hour after we got our food. Mm-hmm. So I come back to the table, and I said to everyone, I'm like, guys, I would never do this, but like, I have to eat. Like, we've been waiting way too long. I have to eat this sandwich. So we ended up eating. And then our friends got their food like an hour later, and everyone kind of went their separate ways again.
But the one thing that like came up in conversation is like, for such a big company that Disney is,
and a big day where they knew
that they were going to have this amount of people in the park. Why can't they get their IT stuff under control?
It's terrible.
Like, the Disney website is horrible. Being a travel agent, I know. Like, the Disney website crashes all the time. The My Disney Experience app is not that great either. It's just, like, crazy for such a big company that, like, they can't figure out this IT stuff.
But don't worry, they have it all figured out, because Disney Genie's coming out, and that's going to help you plan your day. So
we'll see how it goes.
Get the popcorn ready. I can't wait to watch that. But anyway, so after the whole food fiasco, this was the low light of the day. Yeah. Now, when I say low light, I don't mean it was really a low light. Like, yes, it totally stunk to have to wait 3 hours to get our food. It did. But in that time frame, we all got to sit down together, hang out and talk. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we were with a couple people like that we'd never met before, and like we got to know them a little bit more, and it was awesome. It was
still fun, yeah. And for
we were just hangry.
Hangry, but also it was kind of nice to just sit there for a while, because it was such a long day. Like, if we were like going and going and going, we would have been even more dead than we already were at the end of that night. So it was kind of nice to have that little break. And like Matt said, we were with our friends. It was still a good time. Yeah,
it was awesome. Like, that was, like I said before, the people and everybody that we saw and hung out with, even if it was just for people that we bumped into for 2-3 minutes to say hello, it was great. That was the best part of the day, regardless of the food situation. So the good news is it gets better from here. So really, after that, we, at this point in time, it was after 4:00, and we just were like, well, we gotta wait for Enchantment at some point, so let's just go do a few more things. We did a few more opening day attractions. As it got closer to Enchantment, I wanted to try one of the specialty food items from that day, so I took a chance and mobile ordered a second time for the day from the Friar's Nook, and I wanted to try the Toad Burger because it looked really cool. Mm-hmm. So that was a completely different experience. Like, I placed that order, within 5 minutes they told me my food was ready. I had to wait about 20 minutes at the counter for my food to be ready, so wasn't ready when they told me that it was, but way better than 3 hours, I'll say that for sure.
And the Toad Burger was good,
the Toad Burger was pretty good. Was it like out of this world good? No, but it was like a good burger. It was better than your average Disney burger, and it's fun. It looks like Mr. Toad.
Yeah.
And then after that, we were like, all right, like, let's make our way over towards Main Street and see what the crowd is like, see what the spots are going to be like for Enchantment. And we knew where we wanted to watch this show from. We wanted to watch it from the middle to the back of Main Street, because if you don't know, if you haven't seen it, there are now projections on the buildings on Main Street. So
we knew we didn't want to be up close, like near the castle.
No, that's not where to watch the show from, unless you really only care about the actual castle. But there's so much more to the show that's behind you. And
we walked through the castle to head towards Main Street, and we were like, Oh my God. It was like a sea of people.
Yeah, it was nuts.
People started camping out for Enchantment for
At least
2 to 4 hours ahead of time. Like, people had their blankets out.
Yep.
People had their tripod set up. Like, people were ready. They were on it.
Yeah.
So by the time we walked through the castle and saw the sea of people, we were like, oh no. So we kind of booked it down Main Street just to see where it would be a good spot to stand. And we did find a good spot. We were right in the middle.
Yeah, we got a great spot.
We were kind of near where the clock is on Main Street. The clock was right to the left of us.
Yeah, we were in between the Emporium and Main Street Cinema. Mm-hmm. So not at the beginning of Main Street, but far enough back where we can see everything. Mm-hmm. And we kind of just posted up there for a couple hours. The show was at I think 9:15 or 9:45. 9:45, I think. And we just kind of hung out there for 2 hours. So it was long to have to wait. And would I do it again? No, I wouldn't do it again unless it was a brand new show. This was the first time we were seeing it and everything. But
before the show, they did the Beacons of Magic.
Yep.
On the castle, so we got to see them light it up.
Yep.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah, if you don't know what the Beacons of Magic are, on each park icon, so Cinderella Castle, Spaceship Earth, the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and the Tree of Life, at night they run through it a bunch of times throughout the night, but Cinderella Castle, they had a nice projection show that kind of turns on the castle. It goes dark and then the lights come back. And we'll get into this in a little bit, in a few minutes, but hands down the best beacon is Spaceship Earth.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Well, because mainly the other three are projections.
Yeah.
And Spaceship Earth is actual lights, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So we got to see that when we were waiting on Main Street, and it was beautiful. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And then we had to wait a whole nother hour for Enchantment to start. So we met some really nice people that were standing around us, made the time go by a little bit faster. And then Enchantment.
Yeah. I'm just reading through some of the comments as we're talking. The Richter scale, talking about the flippers and the scalpers and how crazy it is. Yeah, it gets nuts. And we didn't mention this, but there were literal fist fights in Starbucks over that tumbler cup, which they've restocked since. It's on Shop Disney, or it was as of yesterday. So those cups were going, and we saw videos on Twitter and some of the blog pages, people literally throwing punches over this,
and people
which
were
is nuts,
fighting each other in the Emporium too. It was crazy,
just absolutely crazy.
The poor cast members.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about how not to act when you go to Disney World, let's all grow up. Let's all grow up here. It's merchandise. It's going to be here for 18 months. It's going to come back, And I hope they just keep restocking this stuff every day, just so that these people that stock up and go to sell it on eBay don't have an audience to sell it to, because you might as well just go buy it in the parks.
But I will say that Disney is cracking down on it more.
Not really, though.
More so than they used to. It's 2 per person now.
Right, but I can go in and buy 2, and then send you go in to buy 2, and then I can go back and buy another 2. So we talked about this with our friends throughout the day, kind of things that they can maybe do to curb the scalpers. They say it breaches your annual pass contract, and it does, but no one's really monitoring that, which is a shame. Detour to Neverland says, I knew the chicken sandwich would come up today. It's too good not to bring it up.
They better bring it back.
And when it comes back, chicken sandwiches for you guys on us. Yeah. Just because you guys have to experience it.
And also, Gary said, first the tuna sandwich, then now the spicy chicken. So true. We used to love the tuna sandwich at Columbia Harbor House. So why are they getting rid of all of our favorite things?
and real quick, the tuna sandwich was always my go-to quick service item, because I'm not crazy really about the food in Magic Kingdom. The only food that I would say is kind of worth it was Skipper Canteen. I think it's a really good restaurant. But as far as quick service, Harbor House was our spot. And then they got rid of the tuna sandwich and a couple other things we liked, that salad, the broccoli salad, and that was gone. So then we found the sandwich at Cosmic Rays, and we were like, awesome, 1,000%. This is our spot.
This is our go-to.
Now they got rid of the chicken sandwich at Cosmic Rays, so we are back to
square
one, and we're probably gonna have to pack our lunch when we go to Magic Kingdom. Michelangelo said, I heard the same mobile order issues in Disneyland when it first reopened. Not surprised.
Hopefully they work through it and it gets better throughout the 18 months.
Yeah. Can they bring the hat back to studios? I wish they would bring the hat back. That hat was great. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, everybody's surprised over the fighting, but fighting took place on this day. Mm-hmm. We did not partake in the fighting. Just want to make that clear.
No. We also didn't experience it. We saw it online. And through like cast members and friends. But
yeah. So now it was time for Enchantment. Mm-hmm. So we did not watch the live stream the night before.
We wanted to avoid it so that we can make our own opinion.
Yeah, so I didn't want to see anything that had to do with any of the fireworks shows from the new ones, the 50th anniversary shows that came out. So we didn't watch Harmonious, we didn't watch Enchantment. All I knew from Enchantment going in was there's going to be projections on Main Street.
Yeah.
I didn't even really watch the videos that like Disney put on like YouTube, like the behind the scenes of like making the music. I wanted to be as blind to what we were going to experience as possible so that I didn't go in with any prejudgments.
Right.
So the show starts, and we're not going to walk through the whole show. We filmed a bunch of it, and it's in that vlog if you want to see it. Again, if you want to see the full show, million other streams you can watch here on YouTube. But the show starts, and it kind of starts with like that original song.
Yeah.
It's very slow in the beginning. So it starts with the original song, and then Angela Bassett is narrating what's happening. It goes into, I think the first song might be The Princess and the Frog.
I don't remember.
But almost there. But it's a slowed down version. Mm-hmm. It was something I didn't like about this show. One of the many things I didn't like was they used all covers of the music that was in the show. So none of the music was like the actual original artist singing it, which I found weird. Like, I don't know why they would do Almost There from Princess and the Frog and not have the actress who plays Tiana sing it.
Because she's amazing.
It was like a slowed down version. The tempo was off. And that's one of my favorite songs from that particular movie. Mm-hmm. But it was a little off. Like we were waiting for like that oomph to kick in and it just never did.
Also, I will say the projections were probably my favorite part. It was awesome that they incorporated the projections on Main Street. I really liked that they did that. But I will say this show is very heavily like reliant on the projections and not so the fireworks.
Yes, and like new IP.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't really have a problem with that per se because like as time evolves, they're obviously going to promote their newer stuff, but there wasn't enough older stuff to kind of counterbalance the newer stuff. Like there was like Onward projections, Raya and the Last Dragon, like, and these movies weren't really well received. So I was kind of like, it's interesting that they decided to kind of go this route.
Yeah, I agree.
And also too, like, I don't want to fully say I dislike it because I think I definitely need to see it a few more times.
I do too, yeah.
We watched it the other night on YouTube, and it still kind of falls flat. Like, the music is not, like, uppity enough for a Magic Kingdom show. And it didn't give me the feeling that I would get from Wishes and Happily Ever After.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is a lot of people didn't like Happily Ever After when it first came out either. Because
including
Wishes,
me. Yeah, I didn't like it when it first came out.
Because Wishes was like so popular, everybody loved Wishes. So of course when they got rid of that, everyone was very hesitant about Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
Now, we love Happily Ever After, so maybe if we see Enchanted more, maybe we'll like it just as much. But like Matt said, it doesn't really give you that like feeling that you want to get while watching the fireworks in Magic Kingdom. Another thing is like I said before, it's very reliant on the projections. So like if you're not standing on Main Street or like in front of the castle to watch it,
I don't know if it's a good viewing experience.
You're not gonna have the same experience. Whereas like our friends Brendan and Catherine, they said this. They watched it from behind the castle,
right?
And it wasn't really the greatest experience. So like if you're not in front of the castle watching it, I don't know how good it's gonna be.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, Happily Ever After was also very reliant on the projections, but in my opinion, the music was so good in that show that you can watch it from anywhere. And then obviously Wishes like had nothing to do with projection, so like that you can watch from anywhere you want and still get the same feeling.
There was also like a lot of slow parts in Enchantment where like, not that like you get bored, but it's kind of like, okay, like let's go on to the next song. Like,
it was very slow moving.
Yeah,
like I was just kind of like waiting for. I was waiting for kind of like the climax of the show, like to really be like, all right, we kick it into high gear. Now there are a couple parts in the show that are fun, like they do Under the Sea into Toy Story and Peter Pan, which was awesome, but it was not enough of that. It was more slow than anything.
I also have another thing to say, because Tinkerbell is my favorite character, and it was very important for me that she still flew out of the castle, which she did.
Which we knew they were going to do that, though.
Yes, but it wasn't as dramatic as it was in Happily Ever After. Like, it was kind of, it seemed like an afterthought in Enchantment. It was just like, I almost like missed it. Like, I looked away for a second and I'm like, oh, she's flying. Like, it kind of just happened so quick and you didn't really like know what was about to happen. Whereas like in Happily Ever After, you like knew it was coming and everyone was like so excited. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like
Happily Ever After had like the build up. Like we all have the courage to fly, and they say fly, 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 and then bang, she comes out. So it's definitely more of a build up to it. This one, you're right. It kind of like, unless you're kind of watching the castle, because she does the projection at least. Like it starts on the bottom of the castle, and she makes her way up to the spire, and then she comes out. But you can very easily miss it.
I'm short and didn't even see that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was something else I didn't care for. But honestly, like the show ended and I was like, okay, they replaced Happily Ever After, which was very much a fan favorite and a very short-lived show. It was only like 4 years that it was in. This is the show that is debuting during the 50th anniversary, and there was no like throwbacks. There was no mention of Walt, Roy, Mickey Mouse, like
nothing.
All the basic stuff that like I thought like, all right, they're doing a 50th anniversary fireworks show, even though it's going to be here past then. Like this is the show that's debuting. Like maybe put something in there. Like it wouldn't have taken much to satisfy. And this kind of goes back to like the beginning of the day with the opening show. It wouldn't have taken much to check that box for Disney fans like us. Now, maybe we're irrational and maybe we're just kind of nitpicky, but like all it would have taken was something similar in Wishes when that wasn't Wishes, it was the projection show before Wishes that would play. But it would say, we hope that
you remember one thing.
Started by a mouse.
Started by a mouse. And it was just like, it was literally like a 5-second thing, but like I always got emotional during that part because it was like Walt and Mickey, and now for the 50th show, there was literally not one mention of them.
Yeah. And that
was just disappointing.
That was like a theme of the day too. Like there was no mention of like, yes, like obviously Walt is the more important piece, but like I really wanted them to do something with Roy, because like Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World would not exist if it wasn't for Roy. Like Roy, you could make the argument that like that was what did him in, was making Walt Disney World, because he was very stressed out during that time, about to retire. Roy is so important to this park, and there was no mention of that throughout the day. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because it almost feels like they've forgotten where they came from. Yeah. In a sense. And again, like all it would have taken would be like at some point in that show, drop a quote from Walt or Roy, simple projection on the castle. It could be 5 seconds, and people would have went nuts that night. Yeah. And people would have probably forgot about like some of the things that they didn't like. So that's just my 2 cents on Enchantment. I watched it back online. It's definitely better in person than it is in video. Any fireworks show is better in person, but it still didn't do it for me. So I don't want to say I hate it, but I don't
prefer it over the
prefer
other
it.
ones.
And honestly, like if I was in Magic Kingdom tomorrow, would I make it a point to see it? Probably not. I'd probably go ride some rides during the show.
Well, I would want to watch it a few more times in person, like we said, but after that, like I don't know if I would make it like a priority.
Yeah, I agree. So that was kind of our day at the Magic Kingdom. a really great day. Like, it was a long day. We were there from 7 a.m. to like almost
After
11 p.m. So it was a long day. But like I said, it was so much fun to be with everybody that we were with and the new people that we met. And
just saying
just
that
in
we
general.
were there on the 50th, like it's like a part of history. Like it was really special to be there.
For sure. Like, was the day, as far as an offering standpoint, what Disney did, was it disappointing? Yes, it was. It was very disappointing for what the 50th anniversary is. Like, this should be the biggest thing. Disneyland went huge for their 60th. Disneyland had the biggest celebration, awesome stuff that they did and offered during that time. And honestly, aside from the welcome show back, but that's going to be playing every day now. The cavalcade that debuted, that's an everyday thing. And the new nighttime show, there was nothing special about the 50th anniversary at Walt Disney World.
Like the day. Like
that day.
Yeah.
We had a great time because we got to go on a whole bunch of rides, and we got to do a lot of rides because there was no wait times.
Yeah.
We walked pretty much on everything, which was great. And like I said, the people really made the day fun. So that was kind of my takeaway from the 50th. I think for me, it's more about like what a really fun day we had with our friends and with each other, and obviously you're celebrating your birthday and everything, than it was about like the disappointment of it. And I think, I could be wrong, and I know there's like new things that are going to be coming out over the course of the 18 months, and we talked about this, like I can almost guarantee you like a new parade's going to be coming out. Obviously I don't know that for sure, but they can't drop everything at one time because, you know, if you were someone that came from the 50th and now a new thing comes out, a brand new afternoon parade or a brand new nighttime parade is back. We got to go see it. It brings people in. But I just would have hoped for a little bit more on that day. And especially a little bit more when it comes to recognizing why we were there in the first place, which was Walt's vision, Roy's execution, and that was really it.
Yeah.
But a fun day, honestly, nonetheless. We had so much fun. We're almost kind of at time here, but I do want to talk about Epcot a little bit. If you guys haven't had the chance to check out today's video, we put out our day at Epcot, which is where we saw the Beacon of Magic. We rode Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. We saw Harmonious. And honestly, my favorite thing, I think, from the 50th are the lights on Spaceship Earth.
I know.
It is
so cool.
It is beautiful.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing in photos and videos, but like
in person,
when you see it in person,
and
it blows you away.
And they make it all different colors. They kind of like rotate throughout the night.
Yeah.
There's also one that in person, I don't know, or actually on video, it might be even like you could see it more on video. It looks like it's spinning, like the way that they do the lights. It looks like it's spinning. It's just so cool. When they lit it up, I kind of was like, whoa.
I know.
Like they really did a great job on that.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Like so cool. That was my favorite thing. Remy's was a lot of fun. I really liked Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. We kind of knew what it was because it exists in France, but it's a really cute addition to Epcot.
The whole area back there.
Yeah,
is a
it's
really
great.
Nice addition. They have the crepe place back there. But yeah, it looks really nice. They did a good job. Yeah,
we didn't get a chance to eat at the crepe place.
No.
We will in the future for sure, but just the ride itself was really cute. We enjoyed it. We were able to get a boarding group in the 1 o'clock boarding group, which was good. And we had to wait a good 5-6 hours. But
another
it was fine.
thing I wanted to mention is for the 50th, one of our other favorite things is the gold statues.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Those were really, really cute. And it was kind of fun to just because they're all throughout the park. They're in all 4 parks, but they're all throughout the parks. They're not just in the hub in Magic Kingdom.
Right.
They're everywhere. So
it's almost like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, it's kind of cool as you're walking around. It's like, there's the Cheshire Cat, and they really did a good job. When we went to Hollywood Studios just for a few hours that one day, Frozone,
Edna Mode.
But Frozone was huge.
Yeah.
They kind of some of them were really, really detailed. Rocket and Epcot, the fur, you can literally see every detail of fur. So that was also one of my favorite things for the 50th. I really like those. we kept saying, like, what are they doing with them after the 50th? Like, I kind of hope
I
that
hope
they
they
leave
stay.
them there. Maybe
Yeah.
just, like, take the 50th, like, plaque off and
Yeah.
leave them there. But, yeah, those were a really nice addition to the park, I think.
Yeah, that was great. I really, really enjoyed those. And the Beacon of Magic on Epcot, like Spaceship Earth. It was beautiful. Like, I could have literally stood there for like an hour and just like watched it. It was that good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did see Harmonious that night, and we'll give you our thoughts on it, kind of like our quick summary thoughts on Harmonious.
Okay, so wait.
I'll let Alex go first because I honestly hated it.
Why did you hate it? I didn't hate it. Okay.
Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
I didn't hate it. I actually liked it more than I thought I would because everybody was bashing it online. So I went into it like, oh, this is going to suck. I really didn't think it sucked, but I do have some opinions. So just like Enchantment, Harmonious, you have to stand in certain spots to have a good view of it, which kind of sucks because like Illuminations, you can watch it from anywhere in any of the countries and it was a good show.
Yeah.
This show, if you're not standing like where you could see,
well, we don't necessarily know that because we didn't watch it yet.
But everybody's saying that if you don't see the circle in the middle where most of the projections are, it's not a good view.
Well, I would agree. Like that's definitely the best view. But I'm curious, like if you were to be in other places, what it's like.
I don't think it's
Listen, it's bad when you watch it straight on. So.
No, it's not. Okay, so my opinion is I liked it more than I thought. I thought the music was really, really good. Like, there was parts where I was, like, dancing and, like, nodding along. Like, I really liked the music. I thought that it was cool that they tied in the different languages. Like, I think I read somewhere that there's 13 languages in the show.
Makes sense.
That they sang the original, like, songs from the movies in different languages, which ties in, like, the countries and, like, the whole, like, meaning of Epcot and everything like that. But I don't know, Matt. I agree with some of what you're gonna say, but I didn't think it was as bad as everybody said it was. Now, I also don't think that it is worth the giant barges.
No,
at all.
Definitely not.
The barges during the day just looked terrible.
Yeah.
And we were saying before we watched it, like this show needs to be great for these barges to be worth it, and I think that fell short a little bit. But the barges aren't just for the projections. They actually like shoot off fireworks too, which I wasn't expecting. So when that was happening, I was like, oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So they incorporated like a lot of cool stuff into it. But is it a show that's supposed to be in Epcot? I don't really know. That's where his opinion
That's my opinion. So like if you didn't have the chance to check out the Epcot vlog that came out today, go watch it afterwards because I dive a little bit deeper into it. But the reason I did not like this show is not because I think the music isn't good. The music is a million times better than the Enchantment soundtrack.
Yeah.
And like I said, if this was the show that they put in the Magic Kingdom as what Enchantment was, let's just say Enchantment was Harmonious, and it was in the Magic Kingdom, I think it would be great. Aside from the languages part wouldn't fit, but if they just did the English only versions of those songs and use those movies and everything, I would really enjoy it. And I am a very true Epcot fan. Epcot is my favorite park at Walt Disney World. There's a lot that Epcot was supposed to be and kind of currently is, but like I'm a big Epcot buff when it comes to like the original vision and what Epcot is. Does it move? Does it unite? Does it move people forward with technology and all that stuff? And technologically, Harmonious is very advanced. I will say that. The barges are such an eyesore during the day, and the show, in my opinion at least, is not worth having them there all day.
Right.
But when the show is taking place, it's cool. Like the arms are kind of like octopus arms, and this water coming out of them, and then they shoot fireworks out of them too. It's cool.
Almost like World of Color in a sense.
Yeah.
Like it kind of has like a sense of World of Color.
Yeah.
But what I know you're gonna say is that you don't like that they're using IPs to like
a lot of it, some of it just doesn't.
The countries and like the cultures of Epcot.
Yeah, like the whole show, like that show, and the way they have done it and put it together, that show belongs in California Adventure or like a Magic Kingdom. Like that show was just fun, upbeat, pop versions of like the classic Disney songs we all know. They put the spin on it with the different languages, which is cool, because if they didn't do that, like, I mean, people were already ripping the show apart, but then they would really rip it apart, because they'd be like, what does this have to do with Epcot at all? And I think they're just using the language part to kind of check the box and be like, oh, this is Epcot because we have it in different languages. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, and then there's multiple IP and multiple songs that they use that came from the same country, and I'm like, okay, do we need to do The Hunchback and Beauty and the Beast to represent France? No. Did we have to do I don't know what it was. I think they did The Lion King for Africa, and then there was one other one as well. Did we need two of those? Like, if they would have kept maybe the different languages part with the songs and chopped out, I'll call it the fat, and like not doubled up on some of the countries that were in World Showcase, and maybe take that time to do something that's a little bit more true to Epcot, like in the middle of the show or at the end of the show, maybe I would have a different opinion. But the show just, to me, does not fit in Epcot. Like, you spend your whole day going around World Showcase. It's all about the different cultures. It's all about the different foods and all about the
like
different
nations
coming together, that whole thing. And they just took Disney songs and played them in different languages. Like, to me, that is not what Epcot is.
A lot of people feel the same way.
But I'm a very true Epcot fan. So maybe you can't go by me. I'm a purist when it comes to Epcot. Like,
a lot of people feel the same way. So,
and that's why I really liked Illumination so much. And a lot of people, I know some people didn't like it. I really liked it because that show was Epcot. Like,
even so, Epcot Forever
Forever was more Epcot than Harmonious too. I'd rather have that back, honestly.
Epcot Forever would have been a great show for the 50th, because it had throwbacks of original Epcot stuff, which is cool. It had almost vintage Epcot stuff in the show.
Yeah. Just gotta. I know they thought of this, but I wonder why they don't float the barges in and out so we don't see them during the day. There's got to be a logistics reason behind that. They're obviously not barges that can move and just roll them out like they did with the Globe. I don't know if it's because of their size. I would imagine it has to do with the technology that's involved.
Yeah.
I'm sure they definitely thought of that, but I don't have the answer as to why they don't. But again, that's just my 2 cents on Harmonious. I think it's a fun show, and there's definitely parts where you're gonna feel like dancing, and if you have little kids, they would love it and dance, and it's a feel good show. I just don't think it belongs where it is.
And I do think that they used a lot of the movies and songs that we missed in Happily Ever After. They used Hunchback.
Well, they did this. They did the exact same transition basically in Harmonious. They did Out There from Hunchback, and then it goes right into a whole section that's focused around Brave and Scotland and bagpipes and all that.
And that really reminded us of Happily Ever After.
Yeah, it was an extended version of that part from Happily Ever After, and I'm like, wow, this is a recycled.
Hercules too, right?
Hercules was in there, which I love Hercules. Don't get me wrong, but Hercules has nothing to do with Epcot. I mean, there's Greece if you want to make that connection, but there's no Greece Pavilion, so I just felt like a lot of the show was a stretch for where it is. It's a very technologically impressive show. You will be wowed by the screens and the octopus arms,
the water, the fireworks.
The water. It's a great show. It's basically a version of World of Color with more fireworks, kind of on steroids. That's what Harmonious is, and I just don't like it because it doesn't fit in Epcot. It's not that I don't like the show, but I have to dislike the show because it is an Epcot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and a lot of people feel the same way. So
Right, like if they put Enchantment in Animal Kingdom, and even if I love, or if they put Happily Ever After in Animal Kingdom,
right,
I would be like, this has nothing to do with Animal Kingdom.
right,
And
right.
it's still a show that I enjoyed. I just personally like, I want my Epcot to be what Epcot is.
Yeah.
And like Illuminations, I know like we can't compare it to previous shows because it's hard to do that. It's, you know, especially like with us, like Illuminations retired a few years ago, but like we're comparing Happily Ever After to Enchantment. We saw Happily Ever After like 2 days before we saw Enchantment. So it's very fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
But to me, like the show has to fit where it is. So that's my beef with Harmonious. Good show, enjoyable show. If you see it and don't really care like I do about like what Epcot is and what Epcot stands for, if you're just someone that just likes to go and, you know, drink wine and food and doesn't really dive deep into what Epcot
there
is,
was people like
you'll enjoy it.
Dancing around us, like people were definitely enjoying it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's my
I'm
2
interested
cents.
to see, like, once you guys see it, your opinions on both the shows and, you know, your experiences with the 50th. And that was just our experience. And obviously we only saw each of them once, so we'll see them a lot more over the course of the time of going to Disney, and maybe our opinions will change. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe they will. I mean, I know, like we mentioned, Happily Ever After, when that first came out, I was like, oh, this isn't as good as Wishes. Like, you know, nothing's going to top Wishes from like a story standpoint. Show was great. But now, like, I like Happily Ever After and I miss it. So will that happen with Enchantment? I don't know. I don't honestly think so. But we will absolutely give it a fair shake. And I will say, if I'm going to plug another channel here, because this was some of the best capturing of fireworks I've ever seen on YouTube. If you want to watch Harmonious, we have a bunch of clips of it in our vlog today, but it's not the full show. It's a good chunk of it, but it's not the entire show. If you want to watch the full show, don't watch the Disney park stream of it, because that stream is terrible. And like, Disney does not know how
going back to their IT stuff.
Yeah, that stream, they should not stream these shows anymore, because they just do not do a good job of it. If you want to watch a very, very good version captured on video of Harmonious, go over to the Diz and watch what Craig Williams filmed. Incredible. I messaged him today on Instagram and I was like, this is awesome. So if you want to watch Harmonious, go over to the Diz's channel and check out their full video. It really gives you a good idea of what the show is like. It's shot perfectly, crystal clear, and I recommend that you do watch it. And honestly, it's way better in person than it is on video.
Yeah,
both shows are. But I think kind of the verdict is still out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of our experience at the 50th anniversary. We had an awesome day in the Magic Kingdom, even though the 50th itself was very underwhelming and fell short. If you were not there, you frankly didn't miss much. You know, like if you didn't have like what we had that day, where we just were meeting up with all friends and people who lived down there already and new people, and you know, you didn't miss much, because that was the best part.
And you'll be able to experience everything that we experienced over the 18 months of the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Now, fingers crossed that they do bring back a parade or something special over the 18 months. We'll see, but we're really hoping so.
I think they will. I mean, they have to bring a parade back within the next 18 months. Like, you know, there's no reason that parades shouldn't be back now. Like, the whole point of the cavalcades was they were supposed to be random and pop up without drawing a crowd. But now they advertise the times of the cavalcades.
But they can't even use COVID as an excuse anymore after the sea of people that we stood in waiting for Enchantment.
Yeah. Once they brought fireworks back, using COVID as an excuse for things is out the window. So there's no more distancing. All that stuff is way gone. So you know, we were talking about some other things too, and I think it has to do with staffing at the moment. But like, why haven't, and this isn't something we're going to talk about for the next few minutes, but why haven't the parking trams come back yet? There's no reason for that.
Odd. Like,
yeah, it has to be that they don't want to
pay the people,
bring the cast members back to operate them. That's got to be what it is. Because there's, shows are full capacity, restaurants are full capacity. Everyone's on top of each other for fireworks. So the excuse of, we can't have people sitting on a tram like on top of each other. You're on top of each other once you walk into the park. So that's kind of something that we were talking about as well. But so we hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with us tonight on the stream. We hope you get a chance to go experience the 50th anniversary. If you have any questions about the 50th or want to know a little bit more about what we talked about, you could obviously leave a comment on one of the videos. You can send us a message over on Instagram. We are always talking with people on there, so feel free to reach out there as well. But I'm excited to see what is next for the 50th, because as the 18 months go on, what is going to be new that comes out of this? What are they going to reintroduce? Is it going to get stale after a while? Like, is it going to be able to hold its traction for 18 months? That's something else that I'm interested in seeing as well. I think a lot of that has to do with what happens between now and then. But this next 18 months is going to be very interesting, and there's some exciting things coming. Like, we know, obviously, Galactic Star Cruiser, if you have $18 million to go stay there, has open bookings. The Guardians coaster in Epcot's coming next year, so there's a lot of cool things that are coming over this 50th anniversary stretch of time. I'm just kind of curious to see what else is going to be coming. Because I hope they have some things up their sleeve. We thought they had some tricks up their sleeve for October 1st, and they didn't. So maybe we're wrong here. But that is going to do it for us tonight. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and talking in the chat and enjoying the stream. If you guys enjoyed hanging out with us, give the stream a thumbs up. Helps it get out to more people and has more people, exposed to our channel, which is a good thing. So again, thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you guys next week. We have 2 vlogs coming out. One from Universal, where I rode, I should say, the Velocicoaster for the very first time. And it was also Dark Arts at Hogwarts Castle, so we got to see the Death Eaters out. They did a projection show. So we have a really, really fun Universal Day vlog, which will be coming out on Monday. And then on Thursday of next week is our last Hawaii video. It is our day on the North Shore of Oahu. We tried to get it out before the 50th, but we didn't want to mess up that schedule of videos, so that video will be out next week. So another 2 videos coming your way, and more to come, obviously, in the future. So again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We hope you enjoyed the stream and everything we had to say. We hope you get to the 50th at some point over these next 18 months, and we'll see you guys next week.